Whoever sees this and subscribes right now, get a free white wrapper. Limited while supplies last, or until the next model comes around. Listen, we've all heard the story, man. Fame comes and fame goes. And especially when you're in the genre known as rap, the rise can be quick, but the descent can be just as quickly as well. I mean, this is a conversation that we've been having in hip hop for a while now. Stevie and I danced on it in our podcast. You know, I've seen other channels talk on it as well. Shout out to Lord Jamari, a channel I follow who gave me inspiration for this one. But the question I want to ask is there this unspoken rule or this sort of trend where there only ever seems to be one white rapper that is in sort of the mainstream limelight and gets all the attention until he falls and the next one rises to take his place? We never seem to have sort of two at once. You know, if you look at recent history, you know, you look at the rise of rappers from Macklemore. Everybody knows when Macklemore was popping, when he was buzzing, when he won a Grammy. The whole Kendrick Lamar controversy, that seemed to signal sort of the downward spiral of him being directly in the mainstream light. You know, we had G-eazy, then rise, make a good run, shatter some records. But then what happened to G? MGK came along. I mean, he kind of chose plan B, didn't he? And dove into a whole new genre of music. And then now you got the boy, Jack Harlow, who seems to be at the top. And this isn't just a recent thing. I mean, you know, you've had the rise of white rappers before. Asher Roth. Anybody remember sort of the frat boy, the party days? Hoodie Allen, Huey Mack, Mike Stud. That whole culture on YouTube, that whole rise and vibe. But what happened to them? And what does seem to happen to a lot of these artists? Why is there no longevity to the white rapper?
The evidence is that unless immediate action is taken, this crisis has grave impacts for us all.
And yet there is one unicorn amongst us who has managed to rise above it all. The man named after Candy, Eminem. I mean, he has just been in the game for such a long time. But even Eminem, people will argue and will say that he has fallen off. I mean, how many times have we dealt with the critique and the criticism of M? Oh, I just want the old M back. You know, the new M isn't the same. But look, I think that critique of M is more your personal style. I mean, if you want to look objectively, M to this day has over 11 albums with 1 billion streams on Spotify. 11 different albums. I mean, those are crazy numbers. I mean, M could drop something today and it could just shoot up the charts, but people would still consider it a failure if it doesn't match what he did with the Slim Shady LP or the Marshall Mathers LP. And yet, he is still doing numbers that any other artist and any other rapper on the come up would give their soul for. So for me, when I hear the argument that, you know, M fell off, no, M has just evolved. M has found a way to stay relevant in the music industry when so many of his predecessors are no longer prominent in the mainstream eye. So many that have come after him are no longer prominent. I mean, we just went through the list of different white MCs that have come and have gone as time has moved on. You know, we spent enough time breaking down M, talking about the technicals and really what he brings to the table. And you can't tell me that the current M is a worse MC than early M. M has only gotten better as an MC. He's gotten more intricate with his wordplay. He's gotten even better with his rhyme schemes, with his multi-syllable schemes, with his sequences, with his different flows, with finding unique pockets and rhythms to use on beats. You know, even using his cadence and molding his voice to different styles and different ways of delivering. I mean, M has never lost his creativity. He's never lost his dark, shady-ass, twisted humor. He's never lost his ability to be controversial and to be entertaining. He's just kind of evolved the different styles and the different types of music, and he's only gotten better as a writer as time has gone on. And maybe it's that evolution. Maybe, you know, as white artists, you know, listen, hip-hop is not our original genre. We're not the ones who laid the foundations for hip-hop. You know, you can agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, when a white rapper enters the scene of hip-hop, we are outsiders looking in, and we have to appreciate the culture with which it arose, the history of that culture, you know, and we have to be conscious of what we owe to that culture and what we give back to it when we do get a chance, when we do have ears in it and we do get our opportunities. And maybe because it is black culture, there isn't as much space for more than one white rapper at a time, sort of at the top and at the prominence, because there's so many dope artists out there. I mean, what do you guys think on that take? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Comment down below. I want to know. This is more of an open discussion kind of thing, and something I just want to go back and forth with on you guys and get your thoughts. But maybe that view is too narrow-minded when looking at the global landscape of hip-hop nowadays, because what we have to appreciate is that who listens to hip-hop has changed. What started off, in the streets of Harlem has evolved to someone on the middle of a tractor out in Texas will now be listening to hip-hop. Someone out in India will be listening to hip-hop. Someone out in Japan. I mean, hip-hop is now worldwide, and it sort of transcends any race, any income level. It transcends so many boundaries. There's such a huge following now for rap on a global scale, and really there's so many different niches for rap music. I mean, you can just, from the world of nerdcore to K-pop to just everything in between that I found along this way in this journey of reacting. I found just so many different fan bases and different audiences for rap music than I originally ever thought would be possible. So maybe we too need to expand our understanding of what is the culture of hip-hop now, and what is the culture of rap music, because it's such a melting pot. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a beautiful thing, because now rap really is whatever people want to make it to be. So if that's the case, then why don't we see more of a longevity from some of these white artists? Why does there seem to be this sort of rise and fall? Maybe that's just circumstantial. Maybe that's just like any rapper who comes and goes because they have their moment. Trends rise, but then trends quickly change. And there's only a select few really who stay relevant over a longer period of time. It's very hard to constantly evolve, to constantly stay on the pulse, and to constantly make music that stays at the forefront. I mean, a lot of these people, sure, they've fallen out from the limelight, but they still have strong fan bases. I mean, let's look at NF. NF had a very brief moment on mainstream, with the hit. But at the end of the day, he's essentially more of a, I guess you could describe as an underground artist, even though he is signed. But he has such a loyal fan base that will never go away, and such a loyal following. I guess there's just different ways and different perspectives on it. And also, you got to remember, it takes sort of a special breed to keep going. I mean, once you achieve the goals that you set for yourself, once you achieve a certain level of success, your life greatly changes. All of a sudden, you're rich, you're successful, you're wealthy now. The original content that you talked about, struggling, trying to make it, trying to get there, your worldview changes. So therefore, what you can talk about changes, and you change as an artist. And I think, honestly, some people just hit that finish line. They just get content, and they're happy, and they don't have to make music in the same way now. They don't necessarily have that hunger. It's like the same with sports, isn't it? Like someone gets to the top, reaches a championship, but there's a difference between those who win a championship once and those who find a way to build dynasties. There's just a different level of commitment. There's a different level of hunger. There's a different type of work ethic. And I think there's just a totally different mental switch in those select few who find that longevity in whatever career that they choose, and staying and performing at the top for such a long period of time. And Eminem is definitely one of those. You can't tell me that he's fallen off when he's still doing it. And everything he does, man, even when he takes a knee, the whole world blows up and talks about it. No matter what Eminem does, people are always going to talk about it, to debate on it, to hate him, to love him. But it just goes to show the impact that he's had on today's culture and society. And will we see another one? Will we see another white MC that manages to stay in the game for a long period of time and stay at the top? I don't know. It's a tough one. We're always going to be comparing to M. We're always going to have him as a measuring stick. I feel like as a white MC myself. But man, as long as you love what you do, as long as you have a passion for it and enjoy it, and just keep grinding and keep 10 toes down, as our boy Jack Harlow says, I don't think you can go wrong either way. But yeah, what do you guys think on this? Did M fall off? Why don't white rappers stay on top? Let me know. Comment below. I love you guys. I'm out.